Elias rested his forehead against the vibrating iron of the massive school boiler. It was 4 a.m., and the basement was his sanctuary of steam and oil. He whispered to the machine, adjusting a valve that was older than the school itself. The heavy steel door swung open, letting in a draft of icy air and the scent of expensive cologne. Mr. Sterling, the new principal, stood there, tapping his polished shoe on the concrete. "Elias, stop playing with that junk heap. I have news." Elias turned slowly, wiping his grease-stained hands on a rag that had seen 1,000 spills. "She's not junk, Mr. Sterling. She's temperamental. It's going to be minus 10 degrees today." Sterling rolled his eyes, holding out a sleek, white envelope. "We are upgrading to a digital HVAC system next week. Silent, efficient, remote-controlled. And we are outsourcing the maintenance to a corporate firm. They are cheaper." Elias felt his heart skip a beat, a coldness spreading through his chest that had nothing to do with the weather. "You're firing me? But I've been here since the foundation was poured. I know every pipe in these walls. I know which radiator rattles in the kindergarten room." Sterling sighed, checking his watch as if humanity was wasting his time. "That's the problem, Elias. You are too attached. We need technicians, not caretakers. Pack your locker. You need to be off the premises by the time the first bell rings." Elias looked at the boiler, his old friend, one last time. "You can't automate warmth, sir. A machine doesn't know when a child is shivering." Sterling laughed, a harsh sound in the metallic room. "Heat is just physics, Elias. Goodbye." Elias walked out into the snow, leaving his soul behind in the basement. He didn't know that the physics Sterling trusted were about to fail in the most catastrophic way possible. Arrogance writes the check, but reality always cashes it. Elias walked home through the biting wind, his boots crunching on the frozen pavement. He didn't look back at the red brick building that had been his second home for 45 years. He had wiped the noses of crying first graders, fixed the broken heels of nervous teachers, and unclogged the toilets that the high schoolers stuffed with paper towels. He wasn't just the janitor. He was the keeper. He kept the secrets, he kept the peace, and most importantly, he kept the warmth. But now, sitting in his small, silent living room, he felt a profound sense of uselessness. He looked at his hands, rough, scarred, and strong. They were hands meant for work, not for holding a remote control in a lonely house. At the school, the day began with a false sense of efficiency. The new digital heating system, installed hastily over the weekend to replace Elias's manual adjustments, was humming quietly. Sterling sat in his office, watching the temperature readouts on his iPad with a smug satisfaction. 70 degrees. Perfect, he muttered to himself. He didn't notice that the readout was static. The sensors, placed near the ceiling, were reading the trapped heat, while the floor where the children sat was rapidly cooling. Outside, the storm of the decade was slamming into the state. The wind chill dropped to 20 below zero. The old pipes, contracting in the sudden cold without Elias's gradual adjustments, began to groan. By 10 a.m., the first complaints started coming in. A first-grade teacher called the office. "Mr. Sterling, the children are keeping their coats on. The radiator is ice cold." Sterling waved it off. "It's just the system cycling. Give it time." But time was the enemy. Deep in the basement, the new digital controller was fighting a war it couldn't win. It was trying to force hot water through pipes that had seized up with airlocks that Elias used to bleed manually every morning at 5 a.m. The pressure built up. The computer tried to compensate by increasing the boiler pressure, unaware that the relief valve was stuck with rust. At 11:30 a.m., a loud bang echoed through the school. It sounded like a gunshot. The lights flickered and died. The hum of the ventilation stopped abruptly. Silence descended on the hallways, followed immediately by the creeping, biting cold. Sterling ran out of his office. What happened? He screamed at the secretary. "The boiler," she whispered, looking terrified. "The pilot light is out. The system crashed." Sterling pulled out his phone and called the corporate maintenance firm. "We are experiencing high call volumes," the automated voice said cheerfully. "Your estimated wait time is 4 hours. 4 hours." In a building with single-pane windows and a blizzard outside, the temperature inside began to plummet. Within 30 minutes, it was 50 degrees, then 45. The teachers huddled the children together in the library, wrapping them in curtains and gym mats. The roads outside were blocked by snowdrifts. The buses couldn't get up the hill to evacuate them. They were trapped in a freezing stone box. Sterling stood in the boiler room, staring at the complex digital panel, which was now flashing a red fatal error message. He tapped the screen. Nothing. He kicked the boiler. Nothing. He realized, with a sinking horror, that he had no idea how to make fire. Elias was sitting in his armchair, staring at the wall, when his landline rang. It was Mrs. Gable, the librarian. She was crying. "Elias, I know you're not supposed to be here, but we're freezing. The kids are crying. Sterling can't fix it. The corporate guys can't come. Please." Elias didn't ask about his severance pay. He didn't ask for an apology. He asked one question. "Is the pressure gauge reading 0 or max?" "It's at 0, Mrs. Gable sobbed, "and there's a smell of gas." Elias hung up. He didn't grab a coat. He was already wearing it. He grabbed his old leather tool bag, heavy with wrenches that were forged in a time when steel was real. He walked out to his truck. It wouldn't start. The battery was dead from the cold. He looked at the hill leading to the school. It was 2 miles away. The snow was knee-deep. He was 72 years old. His arthritis was screaming. But he thought of the kindergartners. He thought of the library. He started walking. The wind tried to push him back. The snow tried to bury him. Every step was a battle against his own aging body. His lungs burned. His legs shook. But he kept a rhythm in his head, the rhythm of the boiler. Thump, hiss, thump, hiss. He marched like a soldier returning to the front lines. A passing snowplow saw him and stopped. "Elias, get in," the driver yelled. It was one of his former students, now a grown man. They drove the rest of the way, smashing through the drifts, arriving at the school gates, just as the fire department was trying and failing to get their truck up the icy driveway. Elias burst through the side doors of the school. The hallway was freezing. He could see his breath. He ran past the huddling teachers, who gasped in relief when they saw his familiar gray cap. He didn't stop to talk. He went straight to the basement. Sterling was there, shivering in his suit, looking at the silent giant of a machine with tears of frustration in his eyes. When he saw Elias, he didn't yell. He slumped against the wall. "I broke it," Sterling whispered. "I killed the heat." Elias dropped his bag. "You didn't break it, son. You just stopped listening to it." He walked to the boiler. He ignored the digital panel. He went around the back to the manual bypass valve, a heavy iron wheel that required brute strength to turn. It was rusted shut. Elias spat on his hands. He gripped the wheel. He groaned, channeling 45 years of labor into his arms. The veins in his neck bulged. Creak, the wheel turned. "Hand me the 14-millimeter wrench," Elias commanded without looking back. Sterling scrambled to find it in Elias's bag and handed it to him like a surgical instrument. Elias lay on the cold concrete floor, sliding under the belly of the beast. He found the pilot assembly. It was clogged with carbon. The computer couldn't clean carbon. Elias scraped it clean with his thumbnail and a wire brush. He tapped the gas regulator with the wrench, a precise percussive hit. Clank, the gas hissed. "I need a flame," Elias said. Sterling patted his pockets. I don't smoke." Elias shook his head. He pulled a box of wooden matches from his pocket, the ones he kept for lighting the birthday candles on the teacher's cakes. He struck a match. He held it to the pilot port. Whoosh! A blue flame erupted. It was small, but it was alive. Now, Elias said, standing up and dusting off his knees. We have to trick the computer. He took a cup of hot coffee from his thermos, which he had brought for himself, and poured it over the external temperature sensor. The computer, sensing the heat, thought the system was safe to engage. It opened the main gas valve. The burners ignited with a roar that shook the floor. It was the sound of a dragon waking up. Elias stood there listening. He placed his hand on the outlet pipe. He waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Then he felt it. A vibration. A warmth. The hot water was moving. He closed his eyes and smiled. She's pumping, he whispered. Upstairs, the radiators began to clang the music of heat. The teachers cheered. The children stopped shivering. The temperature began to climb. 50, 55, 60. Sterling looked at Elias. The old man was covered in soot, grease, and snow. He looked exhausted. He looked frail. But he also looked like a king. Sterling realized then that he had tried to replace a heart with a processor. Elias, Sterling stammered, I don't know what to say. The contract ... I'll cancel it. You have your job back, with a raise, whatever you want. Elias wiped his hands on his rag. He looked at Sterling with eyes that held no anger, only a deep, weary wisdom. I don't want a raise, Mr. Sterling, and I don't want the job back. Sterling looked panicked. We need you. I can't run this. You will learn, Elias said gently. You will come down here every morning at 5 a.m. You will bleed the valves. You will listen to the pipes. You will get your hands dirty. Because if you want to lead this school, you have to serve it first. He picked up his bag. I'm retired, remember? But I'll come in on Tuesdays. To teach you. Don't be late. Elias walked upstairs. He went to the library. The children, warmed now, ran to him. They hugged his legs. They hugged his dusty coat. Mrs. Gable handed him a cup of hot cocoa. He sat in a small chair, surrounded by the life he had protected. He wasn't the invisible janitor anymore. He was the grandfather of the school. Sterling did learn. He ruined a few suits, but he learned. He never outsourced the heart of the school again. And years later, when Sterling was an old man himself, he would tell the new hires the story of the blizzard of '25 and the man who walked through snow to start a fire with a single match. We live in a world that thinks new is a synonym for better. We discard the old, the manual, the analog. We think we can swipe a screen and control the elements. But when the storm comes, the screen goes black. And the only thing that shines is the spirit of those who know how to work with their hands and their hearts. The elderly are not a burden to be managed. They are the foundation that holds the roof up. If you chip away at the foundation to save money, the house will fall. Respect the hands that are cracked and worn. They have held up the sky for you. And if you are lucky, they will teach you how to hold it up for the next generation.